This video will talk about the Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. The Bryophyta includes the liverworts, hornworts and mosses. First we are seeing this liverworts example. This is Merchantia, which is a liverwort. It is called liver because they are flat thallus-like structures. They are dorsally ventrally flattened with some unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. They are flat on the substratum. There is no multicellular rhizoids. In Merchantia, here we are seeing these small cup-like structures called the gamma cups. In these gamma cups, when you look very closely, there are multicellular small spores, green, which are being produced asexually from this body. This body of the Bryophyta is a gametophyte. This is a gametophyte which is producing an asexual spores called the gamma cups, but it can also produce the anthridiophore and archegoniophore. As you see in your NCERT books, the anthridiophore and archegoniophore are produced on two different thallus. Like here, the anthridiophore and archegoniophore. This archegoniophore and anthridiophore, from archegoniophore, there will be development of the archegonia, which is the flask-shaped structure, and on anthridiophore, the male gametes anthridio will be produced. They would undergo fertilization, which needs water for antherozoites to swim towards the archegonium and fuse with the egg, and that zygote will go produce a structure called the sporophyte. This is the sporophyte, which is be on the gametophyte. This sporophyte includes the foot, seta and capsule. This is non-photosynthetic and it is dependent upon the gametophyte for its nutrition. In this capsule, the spores will be produced by meiosis, which will be released, and there are specific mechanisms, the elaters are present by which these are released. The spores will germinate to again make this body of the which is a gametophyte. So here we remember that in Bryophyta the spores germinate to produce gametophyte and the main body is gametophyte. The other example includes this in the liverwort is the Riccia, and the leafy members is the Porilla. This Porilla, in this leafy members there are the two rows of the leaf-like structures. These are not true leaves but leaf-like structure on the center stem-like structures. So there are no true leaves, no true stems, no true roots, but root-like, stem-like and leaf-like structure. Here we are seeing the next, including the Bryophyta, are those hornworts. The hornworts include the anthoceros. Here again we are seeing this is the anthoceros, which are hornworts, and on these hornworts, this which is growing up is these sporophytes. This is the gametophyte on which this grows the sporophyte. This is the onwards. The third more common which you have to remember is the mosses. The mosses are exemplified by funaria. This is funaria. This is funaria. In this funaria we are seeing there are spirally arranged leaf-like structures. On this spirally arranged leaf-like structure the gametes would be produced. The gametes will fertilize, and after fertilization the zygote will give rise to this structure, which is the sporophyte. Here we are seeing this capsule, the seta in the foot, which dependent upon the gametophyte. This is the peat moss, also called sphagnum. And third example is this polytrichum. Polytrichum is the hair cap moss. The life cycle of the mosses. Here we start that this is a leafy structure in which there are spiral arranged leaves on this gametophyte, which has a multicellular branched rhizoids, not the roots but the rhizoids. On the tip of the leaf there are producing the gametes. The gamete sex, that is male sex organ, is called antheridium. The female sex organ is called archegonium. The antheridium is producing antherozoids, which are biflagellated antherozoids, and archegonium is producing one egg. The water will be required for transport of this sperms, these antherozoids, to this egg, and after fertilization it produces zygote. The zygote is not undergoing immediate meiosis, but it is making a structure by mitosis, which is a sporophyte. The sporophyte will be having this seta and capsule. The seta and capsule is the sporophyte. It is dependent on this gametophyte for its nutrition. In the capsule, here the meiosis will take place, which will produce the many spores. The spores will disperse out by a specific mechanism. Here it is calyptra. These spores will germinate to make an intermediate structure called protonema. How is protonema? The protonema is also green. It is filamentous structure which is frequently branched. And here you see that the from budding can take place in this protonema, and it can give rise to a new individual. So budding is a method of asexual reproduction by protonema. From this protonema, this leafy structure will grow. That is a gametophyte. So this is the life cycle of this mosses. Now we come to the next, that is the Pteridophyta. The Pteridophyta includes the 4 classes and 2 groups. The groups are Heterosporous and Homosporous. The Heterosporous are Selaginella and Salvinia, in which the Selaginella and Salvinia I will deal with later on, that what is heterosporous condition. First you see the 4 classes. The first is Psilopsida. The P is silent, the Psilopsida. It means it includes the xylotum. The xylem means snake. Here there are no leaves, and the xylotum, here we are seeing there are no leaves. Second example of the class is the Lycopsida, which includes 2 examples. One is this Lycopodium, and second is Selaginella. Third class is the Sphenopsida. The Sphenopsida includes the example Equistem. Equistem, here we are seeing the Equistem. At the tip of the Equistem there is present this, the leaves are small and arranged in a cone-like structure called strobila or the cone. So these are like the horsetails. So these horsetails and these ferns, they are included in this Pteridophyta. We look at the example of the further example, which includes this Pteropsida. These are the ferns which look, ptero means the wings. These look like the wing-like structure. Leaves are wing-like shape. Here examples include the aquatic Salvinia, Azolla. Azolla is the smallest fern, in which the Anabina, we should remember the blue-green algae, the bacteria lives in colonies in Azolla. This is Adiantenum, which is walking fern. Because of its rapid growth, vegetative growth, it grows in the very high speed, so it is walking fern Adiantenum. This is Dryopteris. This is the wood fern. These Pteridophyta have been used for the ornamental plants. This is Pteris, that is the linear fern. This is Marsilia, which is a four-leafy structure. So these were the examples of the Pteridophyta. If you see the main body of this Pteridophyta, in the life cycle of Pteridophyta, this is Sporophyte. This main body is Sporophyte. It will produce spores. The spores can be produced in two ways and of two types. Two ways are that underneath these leaves there will be sorus, many small cups. If you see underneath these leaves there will be sorus, that is sporangia, which will produce spores. These spores have been produced by mitosis. These spores will give rise to a structure called as this prothallus, which is a gametophyte. This gametophyte will have to produce the antheridium and archegonium. The antheridium will produce the antherozoids, the archegonium will produce the egg. They will undergo fertilization, the zygote formation. The zygote will make this sporophyte. So this is the life cycle of this pteridophyte. Here in pteridophyte, the main body is sporophyte. Gametophyte is small, inconspicuous, prothallus, which is multicellular, green, and independent of this sporophyte. It lives away. This will produce the gametes. This is gametophyte. Now the second way of the production of the spores is in the form of cones. That these are small leaves, microsporophylls arranged in cones. These will also produce the spores. The spores will be produced by meiosis, and they will give rise to the gametophyte. Now two types of spores or one type of spores means in the heterosporous condition, like as Salvinia, like as Silaginella, the two types of spores produced means the one are small spores which are microspores, one are large spores which are megaspores. The microspores will produce the microgametophyte, right? That microspores will produce microsporophyte, which will go somewhere far away and will produce the male gametes. The megasporophyte will be retained on this megagametophyte will be retained on this sporophyte for some period of time. After fertilization, that will produce a new sporophyte. So this heterosporous condition is same like the seed, like we see in this next gymnosperm angiosperms, that two different uh, gametophyte are there. The male gametophyte is different, female gametophyte is different. Right, in prothallus, the male and female gametophyte is not separate. In prothallus, here we are seeing the both male and female gametophyte is produced on same prothallus. So this was about the pteridophyta.